Hello everyone and welcome again to my channel for another book review. Now, we are taking a slight turn in the road today. We're going for something slightly different. In fact, all of my other book reviews so far have been fantasy, but today I went for something a little bit different. I read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Now, this was a spur-of-the-moment read for me. I was away over Christmas period doing some theatre work, and one of the performers I was working with, she recommended this book and she actually lent it to me. That's why I don't have it with me today, because I've now lent it on to someone else and kept that chain going. But she lent me Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and she said, just give it a try, see what you think. And I'm so glad she did, because this book was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. If you haven't read it at the moment, I'd highly recommend you do, just straight off the gate. Just stop now and go and read it. It's brilliant. So it's the story of, it's so hard to describe this book. It's not a romance story, but it is a story about love. It's kind of like just this, I don't know if slice of life is the right word for it. It's about work, it's about friendship, it's about human relationship and how they build and change over time from when you're young through to being older. And I think it resonated really well with myself for a number of different reasons. Firstly, it's set in the background of gaming. So these two characters, they meet and they become friends and bond over gaming. And then go on to be game designers and developers and things like that. So I've got a deep love of gaming. I have done since I was a child, and I first played Sonic the Hedgehog on Sega. And whilst the characters themselves are a little bit older than myself, we're talking maybe 5 to 7 years older than me maximum. So the majority of this story takes place in a timeline that I remember, and I have that sort of veil of nostalgia sort of rose tinting my vision of it. So I got to understand a lot of the different connections they were making to different games and sort of the different things they were talking about. It really resonated with me. But the main thing about it is not about games. It's about the relationships with these characters. And I think Gabrielle Zevin just, the way she understands and she writes how people think and feel, and it's not from a viewpoint of, oh, we want this character to be perfect, or we want them to be a hero, or we want them to be a villain, or we want them to be anything. They're just human and they make mistakes. They are not thinking correctly. They'll make wildly ridiculous decisions, but justifiable from their emotions. And I think a lot of the time you can see yourself in these things. I can imagine myself having these thought processes that you're reading on the page, and yeah, it really resonates. And sometimes not necessarily in a nice way. You go, oh, this person's being horrible, but I remember having those thoughts. I remember having those feelings. And what's really interesting is you see their relationship. They first meet when they're kids, and they become friends, and then they fall out, and then they rekindle again sort of around college years and sort of their early 20s, and they have that sort of, there's an element, what's really brilliant is there's this element of the will they, won't they, and especially in their youth there is there, because I think as a youth you're so much more driven by sex and love and relationships and things like that, and then as they age that's still there, but then there's the maybe the regret of it never coming into something, but at the same time there's that I don't need it anymore because we're adults and we're moved on and we're into different relationships, but there's still that push and pull, and it becomes more of a friendship, and then it develops just into sort of an acquaintance through work. And just the way it does this is so natural and subtle, but at the same time it doesn't waste its time. It doesn't hang around and take ages and ages. This is a nice concise book that I flew through in maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 days, something like that. So for me, I couldn't put it down, which is slightly detrimental as well, because I do a lot of reading when I'm going to bed, and I use it to wind down. But I found I really couldn't with this book. I had to physically, I was going, oh, no, I need to stop, because I need to go to sleep because I need to get up to work tomorrow. And I found myself actually physically having to put the book down and do something else to unwind, because I was so engrossed and so engaged with these characters that for me it was like, yeah, it wasn't as restful as I find reading usually is, which it's actually a good thing, as though it sounds like a bad thing. No, that's actually great. And then I think Gabrielle Zevin, she's not afraid to just sort of throw a little curveball in there. There were some sections in there, I won't mention what, because of certain spoilers and moments that happen in there. Well, she'll completely change how she's writing about it. I think even at some point, she's writing in the second person, where she's talking about, like, it's like you go into here and you do this, and I don't think I've ever really read a book like that. That wasn't like one of those choose your own adventure things when I was a kid. But I was reading it like that, and it just worked, and it really, it just grabs hold of you and it punches you in the gut when it needs to, and gives you feel the longing of the characters, and you feel the anguish and the anger and but then at the same time the comfort and the joy that they feel, and you just want them to just be friends and have this relationship work. And it's not about love. It's not a romance. If you're worried, this is a romance book and I don't like romance, romance isn't for me. It's not a romance. It's so hard to define what this book is, but it's brilliant, and I really, really enjoyed it. And to be honest, minor spoilers. In fact, if you don't want to listen to this, skip forward like 30 seconds. I'll be as quick as I can. I was so glad that at the end they didn't get together. I was really worried that was going to happen, and it didn't. So I'm very happy. Now, right, spoiler warning's over. That's done. Yeah, as a whole, this book was brilliant, and it was a lovely change from all the fantasy that I had been reading. It moved along at a really quick pace, but it was wonderful. And because I sometimes get worried when I'm reading outside of fantasy. I worry, am I only a fantasy reader? I'm not. I do love other books. Sometimes they fall flat. Sometimes fantasy fall flat. I don't really care what it is, but sometimes I worry, am I stuck in a rut of fantasy? And this definitely was just a lovely, lovely, lovely palate cleanser. And honestly, I genuinely think this is my book of the year. I enjoyed it so much that it was an immediate 5 stars for me. It's not even hard to think. I immediately was like, this is a 5-star book for me. It's brilliant. And I genuinely think it's my favourite book that I've read all year. And I've read Dune Messiah this year, which was great, which was really good. That was a real good start to the year. But this, I think, just tips the balance. And I'm so thankful to my friend for recommending to me, because otherwise I wouldn't have gotten round to it. But definitely recommend it. Definitely have a go of it. It's brilliant. Anyway, thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. What are your thoughts on the book? Did you like it? I know some people didn't like it at all, but for me, it just resonated. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Follow along for more reviews. I'm going to be doing lots of different ones coming up. And subscribe if you're enjoying it. It's be lovely for you guys to join my community. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.